بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين ما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
حياكم الله to our guests who are viewing this first live stream of my channel since 5 years, and it's only befitting that I have two honorable guests to join me to discuss a very important topic that many shy away from discussing. Many have accepted the status quo. Many have either conveniently ignored the problems that we are facing as a ummah when it comes to the lack of clarity regarding charity and the expenditure and where our wealth is going, etc. And many brothers up and down the country have this concern on the tip of their tongue, but it's only fair that we address this for the sake of clarification and transparency. So I have, first of all, I'll introduce my Habibna brother or Hafiz Osama, and I don't want to give him a lengthy introduction, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him from the evil eye. Ameen. He's a brother who studied Arabic and Quran in Egypt for about 4 to 5 years. Currently serves as an imam in various masjids around Luton, and he runs a grassroots organization called Rerun, which helps the Muslim community in Luton and serves them to support them in their growth in the Deen on current day challenges and issues. So, awalan, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Hafiz Osama.
وعليكم السلام. وعليكم السلام. جزاكم الله خيرا.
And, well, to my left or to my right, I can't, it depends on where we're sitting. We got our brother Muhammad Raza, who runs and facilitates aid for a charity called Hope for Change. Am I right in saying that?
That's correct.
Very clear. And he will be joining us as well because he's involved in the charity sector. So we would have a discussion and an open forum to ask questions, because me and Hafiz Osama are not in the charity sector, to transmit the complaints and issues that we hear day to day to our brother in the charity sector, and we also have questions for you as well. So it might be some difficult questions, but it's only fair that we ask it on behalf of the ummah. Okay. So what thing I'd like to do first of all, Muhammad, is for you to just give us a brief introduction about you, the charity, your work, and what brings you here today to discuss this very important topic.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah. So, I responded to one of your tweets regarding aid going into Palestine. From there, we had a discussion regarding some of the questions you have regarding the charity sector as a whole and regarding aid going into Palestine with this war going on at the moment, or genocide, I should say. Myself, I've been working in the charity sector as a volunteer for the past 10 to 12 years. I've been on various relief efforts across the globe, and right now we are putting all our efforts from Hope for Change in Palestine. So I'm just here to answer a few questions you've raised and see if I can help in letting the public understand a bit more how their donations are used or spent.
Hafiz Osama, what I'm going to do, I will be also contributing, but because you have lived in Egypt for 4 to 5 years, and I raise this point as a disclaimer first and foremost, we are not accusing any charities of any foul play. What we want is transparency. What we want is clear confirmation as to the money that we are sending and the donations that you, my brothers and sisters, have given to these charities. And we're not ironing out, or shall I say, singling out, shall I say, any charity in particular. We have questions and we want them answered. So, Hafiz Osama, I want you to take the lead bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you permit. And because you lived in Egypt, we're going to discuss about the currency exchange, about £1, how much is it, the food packs that they have, what they have inside, what's the value, and considering how much money has been raised, and how much does it cost to get an aid truck to go into to the Rafah border, and then they crossed. And we know the channels, the Egyptian Red Crescent, the Palestinian Red Crescent, UNWRA. So I'll leave you to it now to ask the questions to Brother Muhammad, and I will place myself on mute, and you could ask those hard-hitting questions, and I could interject as and when. So,
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين. أما بعد، رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Again, يا إخوان, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. And just like Brother Hajji was saying, there was a disclaimer, and I'd also like to make the same. This, inshallah, this kind of interview, these questions that are being put forward, they're not to name and shame people. They're not to hang anyone, by the neck. They're just simply to transmit the ummah sentiments and questions for the sake of clarity and transparency, inshallah. And before I go into the questions, Akhi Muhammad, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. May Allah Azza wa Jal also bless the volunteers who sacrifice their time, energy, and effort to raise these funds for the Muslims who are suffering in Gaza. And all the questions today, Akhi, are questions I've been asked by, from the Ummah. And now that, alhamdulillah, Brother Hajji and yourself have, organized this platform to ask these questions, I wanted to ask them for the sake of the Ummah, for those who give and those who are receiving and those who are delivering. Because at the end of the day, we want Ummah. And if certain people from the Ummah have a responsibility, then, we must see those responsibilities towards the end and ensure that they're fulfilled correctly, Akhi. So one question I just wanted to have prior to going into like Egypt and the exchange rates and stuff was, a lot of people, they donate money. Yeah. So it can go from people standing in, Cove Road in Birmingham, they're shaking the buckets, the pound gets put in. If you could explain, Akhi, firstly, again, what is just the process of charity? How does it work? So Muhammad, for example, has donated £10, £5, put it in a bucket. How would it receive, for example, our dear Ahmed in Gaza? Like, what's the process for that?
Okay, so obviously, every charity, when they're raising money, they should be making it clear from the start. However they're raising this money, let it be on the streets fundraising, let it be gathering fundraising, let it be online. However they fundraise, they need to make it very, very clear where these funds are going to go, these specific funds that are coming now. So, for example, our charity, Hope for Change, we've got a few different campaigns. Right now, we're concentrating on Palestine, but at the same time, we've got food packs in Bangladesh, we've got food packs in Africa, we've got water wells in Africa, water in Bangladesh, etc. So every time we're raising money, we are making it extremely clear we are raising for this cause. And then it's on us to make sure this money, so now we've raised £10,000 towards Palestine. It's on us to make sure this £10,000 goes to Palestine and it doesn't get mixed up somewhere in the middle and goes to another campaign or another effort, anything like that.
Okay, Jazakumullah khairan. Which is now actually naturally going to lead me to the second question. A lot of the Ummah have, throughout the years, even when I was a child, I remember, certain charities getting, involved in a lot of trouble and mess. Like you said, you just mentioned the example of £10,000 is received, collected, and then now delivered to the recipients in Gaza. What are admin fees and what are necessary admin fees? Because again, you hear from different people, salaries are kind of extortionate, certain fees can be justified. So what are necessary admin fees? Because I remember, may Allah Azza wa Jal bless him, Brother Hajji made a beautiful point about mal al-yatim. This is the money of the orphans, money which is being given to the destitute. And I think we need to kind of put a context to this, inshallah. These are our ummah who, whilst we're watching out for on New Year's Eve for fireworks, when New Year took place, these people in Gaza are watching out for the next missiles that are going to drop on them. So with this, the ummah understands very clearly that she wants to do something for these people. So she, from her goodwill and khair, she donates the money. So then when people, again, other charities like in the past, certain people have been exposed for what they did. What are the necessary admin fees so that that money can reach those people, inshallah, with haqq, and not admin fees which are kind of unnecessary, that the ummah's money is now spent on perhaps, Allahu A'lam, a luxury rather than feeding Ahmed in Gaza?
Okay, so I think we need to make something clear first. We've got admin fees, you can call them operational costs. And then we've got donations, which will go to charitable work. So charitable giving. So basically the aid. So the necessary admin fees are anything to run the charity on a day-to-day, daily basis. It can be wages, it can be just paying the bills of the office, like any other business would be run, just operation costs. And then you've got charitable outgoings. Now the charitable outgoings, the aid, within that you've also got, you can get operation costs within that, and then you've got the actual cost of the aid. Certain charities may differentiate between the operation costs within the aid and then the aid itself. Certain charities won't. So I think
Sorry, Akhi, تفضل, Akhi, sorry.
Sorry.
No, I cut you up. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So I think, so you've got day-to-day running of the charity, normal operation costs. That's definitely necessary. Some charities obviously are run 100% by volunteers. Wages are not necessary for them. Some charities, to them, wages are very necessary. So that's the necessary operation costs, and that's the admin costs. That's about it, really. Marketing comes under that as well. Operations. So obviously, the bigger charities, they have bigger marketing budgets. They do bigger marketing campaigns. It costs them more. The operation costs are higher. Things like that. So what is necessary? It can be a bit of a fuzzy. It can get a bit fuzzy there.
Now, my next question, Akhi, is what you said regarding, some people may make it clear what's being spent where, other charities may not. Seeing as this is like an Islamic issue, you're receiving amana to deliver amana, why is it that some charities will convey what's being spent where and other charities perhaps won't? I mean, you may know it from your experience, you may know, but it's still like a valid question because this is money from the ummah being given, money from the ummah being taken.
I think this comes down to the more of like regulation and things like that. A lot of these charities we're registered in the UK. We follow the rules of the UK Charity Commission. As long as these rules are followed, we're happy. We think we've done enough. But like you mentioned, these are Islamic issues. We are Muslim charities. So these are not, the commission rules are not enough. For us, more comes into play. The Quran, the Sunnah, the way the Muslims operate, this comes into play. And why the lack of transparency? I couldn't tell you, brother. This is one of the reasons we started, me and my three friends, we started Hope for Change ourselves, because of the lack of transparency. So I couldn't answer that question any better than that.
No problem. Okay, Hajji, did you have anything, or can I continue?
No, brother, you carry on. When something comes to my head, I'll definitely interject. So you please,
Okay,
you're doing a great job.
okay.
I like that.
So the other question I had was to do with, so I've been speaking to teachers in Egypt, still studying, continuing studies with them over the years. And even myself, when I was in Egypt, I remember when I first got there, when I first landed in Egypt, 2013, the exchange rate was 10 Egyptian pounds or 11 to 1 sterling. 2-3 years into my stay in Egypt, it hit 25. A lot of the UK Western students got happy that, now they can buy 4 KFC meals for the price of 2. Yeah. Now, Akhi, the price of the exchange rate now, and this is just a formal fee. This is the formal fee, which is, in the banks, you go to the main normal high streets, the exchange rates place to exchange the money, that it's now around 39 to 41. Yeah. So the question is now, you can see perhaps people are getting a lot more what they can now than they did back then. So roughly, Akhi, like charities, I'm assuming they've raised, alhamdulillah, millions. And they're using the Rafah as one of the entry points, which is, between Egypt and Palestine. So the question is, let's for example say, they've raised £1 million, for example. That will translate to formally, and this is, somebody can go and get
I'll do it for you now, Akhi. I just wanted it. So me and Brother Muhammad just looked at the campaigns without going asking for their personal bank details. These are just the campaigns raised, and there was £2 million raised just by campaigns, right? So take away the fees that these campaigns potentially might charge. So just say 1.8 million, right? 1.8 million. This is just, well, how long was it? Just a quick screenshots, 10 minutes, Brother Muhammad, roughly.
Couple of minutes.
So 10 minutes max, and we found 1.8 million, which is 69,710 Egyptian pounds. Now, before I let you continue, Brother Osama, the Egyptian Mashayikh, I've heard the audios as well, and I could testify to what they've said, and you will go into what they mentioned. Now, I looked at or watched or reviewed a specific charity that had some boxes, and they were going through the items in those boxes. So Brother Osama will go into that, and so would you, because we discussed this. And so we've got 69 million Egyptian pounds. In that box was some basic rations. So you had water, and you had pasta, and you had there's things that last, things that doesn't have an expiry date per se. Do you understand? And these costs, Brother Osama will go into, is what's really concerning in terms of how much these items cost. And we're not going to go into what they get it, because that's what Brother Osama is going to go into the voice note. So just to add, 1.8 million, just a handful of campaigns me and Brother Muhammad viewed, 1.8 million, Osama. 1.8. These are just campaigns, right, that we can access and view. Now 2 million, but we say 1.8 because of the fees. So Sheikh Osama, you continue now and ask the questions, because we've let the foundation out now. That is 69 million Egyptian pounds. Okay?
Okay. So Akhil Habib, Muhammad, may Allah bless you. I'm going to show it. So I don't think it will. I don't know if I lower the brightness, it would show, but roughly it's probably clearer there now. So this is just like the Arabic list I found out today of normal prices. So again, just to mention again, to put into further context, because again, this is the Ummah's money we have to be diligent with. In UK, you can go to, for example, Farm Foods, or you can go to Waitrose for your milk. Farm Foods milk will be much cheaper. Waitrose will be on the higher end. This here, what I got today, is in between. Yani bayna wa bayna, it's between. So, in there was pasta, water, rice, and like they measured in kilos, by the way, not packets, right? Then you have different types of cheeses. Then you have, lentils, and then you have flour. And this is basically what's given in a box, like a food package or parcel per box. And all of it equates to exactly, upon these calculations I received today from my teacher, and again, it's not the high end or the low end, is £5.54. Yeah, £5.54. So this is what my teacher said. And my teacher then said in the voice note that this isn't for huge companies that are dealing with bulk here. These are just for like myself, me and you and families. They go into a normal store. This is the price we'll get. Now, of course, when you go to the wholesalers, they're going to drop the price, a little bit significantly lower than this price. And this is actually, again, for the sake of transparency, may Allah bless you, Akhi, is if 1.8 million pounds was raised, and now let's say a box is £5.50 for a normal guy, they get it lower. Let's just say, I don't know, £4.70 or £4.75. Like, how much of this money is being used, Akhi al-Habib, on buying goods itself? Because you can imagine now, that box is £5. Now times that by 1.8 million pounds, how much of it actually is like being used and sent into Gaza?
Just to before Muhammad answers, just to clarify, some charities are operating under 100% donation policy. So let's not look at the money that they raised in pounds. We look at the donation that we have given that will be valued at where they're purchasing their items, correct? Where they're purchasing their items, they'll be valued accordingly. So 69 million just by 4 or 5 campaigns. 69 million, Habibi. So Muhammad, before you answer, what's your take on how much are they spending in order to get 69 million in? How much aid trucks will they have to have? How much back and forth trips will they need to do? Because logistics are important. We're not going to be giving money and we're not knowing the details of 69 million. And that's just a random campaign here and there. Let's not leave the other charities. We're just talking about 4 campaigns. So, Fadl Akhi, enlighten us bi-idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay, so I'm gonna just be straight honest with you. From what I've seen from the bigger charities, what type of aid they're sending in, the amount of aid that it looks like they're sending in. If they're sending in more, they're hiding it. Because what you can see online, what you can see on their social medias is what we're gonna go by. Am I right? We're gonna go by what we can see. From what we can see, the numbers don't match at all. Few tens of £1,000s maybe. That's what it seems like on some of these bigger charities. I don't want to name names. Obviously, we're not here to point fingers, nothing like that. But from what I've seen, it seems as though tens of thousands of pounds have been spent, and that's the aid that's been sent.
Okay.
For a lot of charities.
So Muhammad, just to add, so it's £4 roughly, as Brother Osama mentioned from his teachers in Egypt, who are there currently right now. You got a convoy. I used to work in rentals back in the days. I've got obviously 10-year analytical experience, record collation, liability industry, local report. So I've got this sort of figures and data in my head and how to unpack that data. So in that unit or warehouse, just say they've got 1 or 2 warehouses, right? It's £4 a pack. How many trucks would have to be loaded with the truck cost paid for, with the petrol? How many trips for 69 million Egyptian pounds per 4 campaigns?
That's beyond my maths.
Thank you. So now I'm going to play a video for the people, because one thing I have to add, and Sheikh Osama, you would agree with me, is that when we look at the videos that are coming, right, getting into the Rafah border, as I mentioned in my last video, right, you got to go through a certain due process. You've got to get it checked. You have to get it, and it gets passed to the Egyptian Red Crescent, who are working in tandem with the UNWRA, and they organize the delivery through the border into Gaza. Is that a fair comment based on Diyar Shwan, who works for the Egyptian State Information Services, the Ista'lamat? So let's just watch this video, and I want to ask you, just due to a serious question once I play this video, have you ever seen such footages from certain charities such as this? Or is it just a standard, we've got 2-3 trucks loaded and the truck's on its way and that's it? So just have a watch of this, and then you let me know whether this is... Okay, so there's the truck going. That's the Rafah border right there. And that's 1 truck that is going into Gaza as we speak. Okay, so that's just 1 truck, right? 1 truck. We've got another video. Okay, so just to show you what happens on the other side, we've got another video. This is from another channel. And this is what it looks like when they enter the other side, which is past Rafah into Gaza. Now, this is entered into Gaza now. This is the other side, okay? Going in, right? You can see truck upon truck going in. So let's just finish the clip. Sorry, I kicked you out, Muhammad. It's supposed to be the footage, but so that's transparency right there. You see a truck going in by the Rafah border. If 1.8 million has been raised, 1.8 million, which is 69 million Egyptian pounds, Really, those trucks, one after another that you saw, should be what should be the footage that we should be seeing from these charities. Is that a fair comment?
Very fair comment. We should see one after another, but we're not going
One
to see.
after another, right?
We're not
Now,
going to see this.
I haven't seen any footage like this. I haven't seen any footage. What I've seen is a still photo of a van. Then I've seen someone with the Egyptian Red Crescent jacket standing next to something, and then all of a sudden the AIDS reached in Gaza. Like, explain to me how that makes sense. And number two, how do we know when that footage was recorded? That could have been a year ago. That could have been 2 years ago. That could have been 3 years ago. Allahu A'lam. Now, getting stuff in, we're not denying trickling of aid. We've already accepted that. So we're not saying aid isn't getting in. But in comparison and in proportion to the money being raised, this is ridiculous. So Hafiz Osama and Akhi Muhammad, you guys continue. I just wanted to interject to play those two videos. Allah you.
Okay, so the charity partners that we're working with, they're going through Red Crescent after the process you said, Red Crescent to Palestine, Red Crescent, and then UNWRA and a few other charity organizations, they're giving it out. So the footage coming back in is very difficult to get your truck with your banners on, footage coming back to you, more or less impossible because of the process. But what you picked up on is we should be seeing one truck after another if there is 69 million Egyptian pounds worth of trucks going through. And another thing is, for the past 3 months, the people we're working with, we've managed to send in 150 trucks, and that's with a lot of effort. Not hope for change ourselves, but the whole operation. 3 months, 150 trucks, and that took a lot of effort. It took a lot of running around, and it took a lot of phone calls, etc. And
yeah. And just to add, which Sheikh Habib Hafiz Osama will get into in terms of living in Egypt, what he experienced in terms of the authorities and how they operate. But just to add clarity in terms of the trucks going in, right? We've got reports from Rafa Online. We've got reports from, and I've got a report here, which is from, and we'll go into it. There's a individual who works for the Egyptian Red Crescent called Khalid Zaid. Khalid Zaid is the spokesperson for the Egyptian Red Crescent. And he said that on the 27th of January, 116 trucks went in. But just to add, Saudi Arabia, not long ago, sent 550 trucks themselves. Kuwait have sent hundreds of trucks. Qatar have sent hundreds of trucks. Turkey, just yesterday, I've got the report here. Here it is, if anyone can see. Oh, let me just get rid of my background. But it's here anyway. It says that in the Egyptian airport of Arish, the Turkish military have delivered 53 tons worth of aid, food. 53 tons, right? So when we look at these aid trucks going in, just remember, a lot of these aid trucks are from who? From
nation states.
Nation states, a lot of them. And there's a report which mentioned, here, I've got it here, Rafa Online again, and I have some, I'm just going to let you get in. They've confirmed that there's been aid delivered to the Rafah border, and it says وقد صر Dr. Khalid Zaid, again Rais Hilal al-Ahmar al-Misri, they've confirmed that so much aid has been sort of given to them, right, for them to deliver, and it mentions 6,947 roughly over the course of the siege. When they had that little window, when they had that truce, 6,947. Now, let's be frank, right? All the charities combined in the UK and the US and the European states and whatnot, they alone should be getting 6,947 trucks in with the amount of money they raise, right? Them alone should be getting, if not close to that, the millions, tens and 20s and 30 millions converting into Egyptian pounds. Why is it that we only get 1 or 2, 3 footages, minute, little photos and little, someone wearing a high vis and it carries on. So Hafiz Osama, I'll let you go, boys, continue now. I know you might have to go soon, so continue on and follow up, please.
So actually, just again, a discussion I had with some people in Egypt from last night and today, because I wanted to, have the most recent news. And I asked various people, actually, how is even, for example, charity viewed in Egypt itself? Yeah? Let alone Western, or you have people from the West that are coming in, Muslims that are coming in with their organizations and working alongside organizations there to get the aid into Gaza. So one of the asatida, he was mentioning that there's a organization in Egypt called Muassasat Misr al-Khair, which is run by the previous Mufti in Egypt, and whoever knows him. But basically, long story short, he's saying that this organization, they spend millions of Egyptian pounds on marketing. So on TV channels, on radios. And then he says not only that, they actually have spent a lot of money on what's known as salaries. Yeah, like a lot of money on salaries. And again, he says it goes into millions of the Egyptian in the Egyptian currency. He also mentioned as well, I forgot to mention this earlier, that Egypt issued a law recently that anything to do with what's known as Jam'iyat Khairiyah, charity organizations, the Egyptian government must have a link or close eye to that. So nothing can run without their permission. Yeah? So how does this link to the following question, Akhil Habib Muhammad, is that I myself, as a foreigner, Muslim, obviously, foreigner in Egypt, I lived there for many years. And corruption is there on all levels, on every single level you can imagine, from the post office to local, stores, even paying your electricity bill. 1 month strangely is super high, and then the next month is quite low. And the brothers who know this as well, every brother that's gone to Mujamma Tahrir, i.e. the official government building to renew their visa, there's places in there where you can do things and get it done quickly with corruption. Otherwise, you suffer a lot. And I even remember we'd have to stand in queues, akhi, in Ramadan for 4 or 5 hours long, because we didn't want to do what's unlawful. So again, my question, akhi, directly is, now that these huge financial operations are coming in on the back of charity, and may Allah again bless the brothers volunteering sincerely, but the people at the top and you have these government officials who are clearly known, akhi, what dhulm they do to the ummah and how greedy they are and the money they usurp from the ummah. And again, reports have come out too. Are there backhand fees, which maybe not your charity, but are there charities, akhi, that you think or you know of that pay these backhand fees to allow the aid to get in? And let's say, for example, they do pay. Is this then made transparent to the ummah here that your money was used on, for example, ABC issue? I know that was quite long-winded, akhi, but I hope...
No, that's fine. I got it all. So, alhamdulillah, our charity, we've not come across this yet. We've only been running for about 4 years or something like that. So we've not come across this yet. But no doubt, like you mentioned, in most third world countries, you will come across this as an individual. And then on top of that, so much money coming into the country as a charity, definitely most charities, from basic knowledge and just by logic, I think we can work out that they will be facing some sort of backhanders, some sort of fees that they will need to be paying. Obviously, this is not related to the donors. I've not heard this from any charities anyway. Now this again, obviously from an Islamic standpoint, this is haram. From the as easy as you can see, this is haram. But obviously some charities may say this is a necessity that they have to indulge in, which gets the aid across. That's between them and whoever they've got the fatwas and everything else. But now it comes down to these payments. Are they going from the donations? Are they going from the admin pot? So there needs to be some transparency in regards to that. But I couldn't tell you the fees. I couldn't tell you which if I do know of anyone involved in this, because I've not come across it so far. But just by...
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's fine, brother. I was just going to reiterate it, just say my point again. Just by logic and just from experience, most likely there will be fees that needs to be paid.
And as well, actually, my follow-up question to that is, in your honest opinion, again, putting into context what's happening, a genocide is happening. Thousands and thousands of our ummah are dying for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And us as an ummah have a duty towards them. And part of that duty is to grant them, with the permission of Allah and the ease of circumstances, instant relief and aid, food, blankets, etc. So the question I have, Akhi al-Habib, is this: what can charities do better to offer this transparency that the ummah perhaps need, so that they can understand clearly, stage by stage, this is where the money is going, even if they're honest in the sense that, look, aid may not be able to go through today, or like we mentioned before, certain fees were paid along this process. So what can charities actually do better so that there is complete transparency between those who are receiving the aid and those who are giving the donations?
Okay, so some charities are already doing this. This is the point I want to make. So what can we as donors do when we're donating? We need to take a few steps before we make a donation. We need to take a few steps, do a bit of research before we donate to any campaign, to any charity. Firstly, how much footage is there, or what is the process of how much aid they do, how much aid they're giving out, how the campaigns are going, how much footage is there, how much evidence is there on their social medias, online, etc. Number two, if there's any questions that you have in regards to your donations, you need to be able to find the answers easily. So the answers need to be available to you online or on social media. Really, you shouldn't even need to be contacting no one. The answers you have should be already answered.
Exactly.
And now, definitely. And the third point I was going to make was, obviously, there's a responsibility on us as well as donors to go seek out who's providing, like you said, who's providing the procedures, the transparency, the footage, and everything else. So from my experience, I do know that the ones who do provide this are the smaller charities. Every area, every Muslim, big population of Muslims in the UK, every area where there's a big population of Muslims in the UK have their own small local charities. You have the masjids that do certain campaigns, raise funds. You have, I'm sure we all know brothers locally that raise funds for different campaigns and different things that are close to their heart. For example, it could be for orphans, it could be for whatever it is. Right now, most people it's going to be for Palestine. So I think we should be looking to move away from the bigger charities and going towards the smaller charities, or going to individuals. And I think this is where we will receive this transparency. This is where this transparency already exists. Because if you go to the people that the people that we're working with, all the questions you've asked us, you will get the answers for that just from their videos on social media. Every step of their journey, they're documenting it. So, individuals and small charities. I think this is the way forward right now, and I think it's on us to.
Mohammed, just to ask you one question, right? Just to be, just to make this clear. In your estimation, in the last 3 months, because remember the dynamics has changed post October the 7th in terms of aid going in. So Khalid Zaid said that up to 600 trucks a day used to go to Gaza through different crossings. Now, just to clarify, I know you have fanatics, who want to defend their charities and whatever. So I'm going to present Diyar Ishwan, who confirms that there's 6 crossings into Gaza, and all of them are controlled by the Zionists. All of them are controlled by the Zionists. So you can't just turn up and say, hello, I've got some aid to deliver. You've got a due process to follow. So let me just play that, because people are saying, oh, well, Rafah's not the only border. No, there's 6. Not many people know this. And Diyar Ishwan also confirms not many people know there's actually 6 crossings into Gaza. So let me play that for you, bi'idhnillah. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm in the process of playing that for you. Give me 2 seconds, my brothers. There you go. Just watch this and listen to the other.
معابر أخرى غير معبر رفح ومعبر صلاح. هذه المعابر كلها من الجانب الإسرائيلي من الشمال، حيث يوجد معبر إريز وبعده معبر المنطار، ولدينا 6 معابر. بالمناسبة حتى لا نضيع المعلومات، هذه المعابر كانت هي الشريان الرئيسي للتجارة ما بين قطاع غزة وإسرائيل، وهي التجارة التي في بعض الشهور كانت إسرائيل تربح منها 300 مليون دولار. وبالتالي هناك مكاسب كمان إسرائيلية في هذه المعبر. والسؤال إذا كانت إسرائيل تزعم أن مصر هي التي تغلق المعبر، وسأعود إلى هذا بالتفصيل، فلماذا لا تفتح إسرائيل معابرها؟ صحيح. وتفتح معابرها ليس لمساعدات إنسانية بل بالعكس لتجارة.
Okay. So you got clarification there, and Sheikh Osama, I translated that as a rough translation with the Masri dialect. You know how hard it is, especially when he's on the phone as well. So the translation was close to accurate.
No, it was accurate. It was accurate, I think.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah,
just want to make sure.
Accurate,
so you could see here now. I've heard this from other brothers when I voiced this. So no, brother, you don't know how they're getting it in. Just remember one thing: the borders are not manned. As one of the Palestinians said, he said, look, they can't give us a bottle of water unless they ask the permission from the Muhtallin, in the video that I recorded before. So, yes, there are other crossings. We're not denying that. But who are they controlled by?
The Zionists, obviously.
Thank you. So, tens of millions of pounds. Now, just to bring it close to home now, in your estimation, I asked this before I played the video, right? In your estimation, from the start of the campaign, when they closed the border, and they had the little truce, and then now they're trickling in slowly but surely, and it's still ongoing. How much money do you reckon's been raised? It can't be accurate, but how much millions have been raised, do you reckon, based on what you've been seeing and the charity campaigns and all these different?
Just from having a quick look, the fundraising platforms, it seems like there's going to be easily tens of millions. Okay. Easily. So, let's just keep a conservative figure.
Let's keep it generous. Let's keep it generous.
So
10 million. Yeah, so 10 million pound, right, is 286 million Egyptian pounds. Have they purchased? Remember, 100% donation policy, and we're splitting that across various charities that claim 100% donation. So, and even those who don't, just take away 1 or 2 million in fees, in admin costs and operation costs. That's 8 million. So let's be generous. Let's give them 8 million, right? 8 million in 3 months. That's 309 million. Do you reckon 309 million pound worth of aid has been, 1, purchased, and 2, has it crossed the border into Gaza? Because as far as I'm aware, just to add for transparency, right? I've got a tweet here by a person who's living in Gaza, and for 1 kilo of sugar, they're paying $8.2. So if there's that much amount of money being paid to our charities to get aid in what they get in flour, etc., sugar and whatnot, 309 million, I'm sure that should be enough, right? To elevate some suffering, not all of it, but some suffering. 309 million Egyptian pounds. Do you reckon 309 million Egyptian pounds has been spent? And number 2, out of that 309 million Egyptian pounds, how much has been spent and how much has actually crossed the border?
Okay, so it's pretty obvious. Obviously, 300 million Egyptian pounds has not been spent. Even if it has been spent, it's obviously definitely not gone into Gaza. Now, the question is the 300 going to be spent? How is it going to be spent? Are there plans on maybe, are there other plans? Maybe it's not going in right now, so they've got other plans. But if there is, you need to have the transparency of this. You need to tell us. You need to tell the donors. Instead of telling the donors, oh, we're sending 10 trucks every day. No, you're not. That's not happening.
Why? Because why aren't they sending 10 trucks every day? Because as I said before, there's due process and due diligence. Okay, we'll say to the charities, right? That's fine. You're sending trucks in. You know, and we've done our research, it goes to the Egyptian Red Crescent, who take it over, then transfer it to the Palestinian Red Crescent. How long does it take before they actually unload it and then come back to the Egyptian side?
We're looking at a full process about 2 weeks. So 2 weeks might even be longer than that.
Okay, so one truck, if it goes in, gets to the Egyptian border, Egyptian Red Crescent check it, allow it in, Then it gets checked by the Sahayana. They check it. They allow it to go in. Then the UNWRA, along with the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, look at it, then deliver it. But by the time they unload it and give it out, it comes back. That could take about 2 weeks. Is that what you're saying?
About 2 weeks. 10 days, 2 weeks.
Okay. So what we need from these charities is documentation confirming how much aid trucks have actually, from their side, gone in, delivered, because we don't see no footages when they go in, right? You notice that. Am I looking at this, or am I overthinking this? Whenever it goes into the Gazan side, you don't see them saying, Tabarakallah, our aid truck has arrived. As you can see, we're unloading it and delivering it to the palace. Have you ever seen such footages? Maybe 1 or 2, maybe. But have you seen in the amount of money that's been raised to that equivalent?
We're not seeing it, and we're not going. Even if they were going, we won't be able to see it just because of the process. Just because of the process, how it's being distributed.
What's the process, Muhammad, so that people understand what you mean by that?
So now you need to get all the aid in Turkey. Egypt. You need to get all the aid. You need to buy the aid in Egypt. Egyptian trucks drivers, they will go to the border. They will be let through if they've got the paperwork with Egyptian Red Crescent. So then they're through. After that, they're going to warehouses, Palestinian Red Crescent. Sometimes them trucks are unloaded there and put into other trucks. Sometimes they're unloaded, tagged up, put back onto the same trucks. Sometimes the coverings are changed. Usually the coverings are coming with the logos of this charity and that charity. So this is why it's going to be very, very difficult to get any footage from inside.
Okay. Fair comment. But just to add, even if they take the curtain, because I used to work in the rental, they take the curtain side off and they put another one on. But by the time it gets to their destination, because I'm sure it should have instructions, okay, it's going to this place, it's going to Rafah, it's going into, past Rafah, it's going to just at different areas within, Khan Yunis or whatever. Why can't someone there from their side, they take a photo and say, look, your truck has come. We're loading the truck.
Do you know what it is? It's very difficult right now. Do you know the videos we saw? Do you know the video you showed earlier about the truck going into Gaza? You've seen how the people surround it. You've seen how the people are pretty desperate. I don't know how the policy is with the Palestinian Red Crescent and the other charities that are distributing. Maybe they don't allow recording, things like that. Okay. And you have to understand, so this is a marketing disaster as well for a lot of the charities because they can't get these videos through.
Sheikh Osama, do you want to add anything? Because I know we've got
it's just the point. This is I've been asked this directly, but because I'm not involved in any charity operations other than donating to brothers and stuff, it's kind of going to reiterate what Brother Hajji said. So even they said, look, Osama, the amount of the amount of donations that have been given, when there was a few clips, Akhi, from when the Hudna took place. It was like a treaty between them where aid went in. And one of the brothers, he said to me, and he was very upset, he said, look how the Ummah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam have become, subhanallah, it was hurtful for him to say, animals running on food because of their dire circumstance. But then he said something to me, and I said, look, if I have the chance, I can ask whatever. Now, alhamdulillah, the platform is here. He said, with all the money the global Ummah is giving, this is what he said, with all the money the global Ummah is giving, why is it that they have to act this way? Because surely the amount of money that's been raised globally for the cause of Palestine and the people of Gaza, how comes that they're fighting over oil and they're fighting over, and you see old men carrying flour on their shoulder? So the brothers are asking, the amount of money that's been raised, the campaigns are going on now, Instagram have these links in bios, you click on, but then these footages come out where children, elderly, middle-aged are running and fighting each other, to be fair, for the aid. It doesn't equate to what Brother Hajji said. The amount of money that's been given doesn't equate to, from these footages that are being, distributed and given over there.
I'm gonna have to agree with both you brothers. May Allah bless you. The amount of money that's been raised, it doesn't equate to the amount of aid that's going in. But I'm also going to say maybe these charities do have maybe they're stuck. Some of them could be stuck. They thought they're gonna get the aid in, but now they can't get the aid in. Maybe
But they're arguing they're getting it in. I think that's the problem. They're
but this is the
transparent
problem.
here.
This is the problem. They're saying
That's
they're
the
getting
problem.
it in. This
They're
is the
getting
issue.
it in. So they're not explaining the process. They're not explaining how it works. I had to do the research in order to clarify how to. A lot of research went into it, like a week's worth of research before I released the video. So if they are not being clear as to how much they're getting in, then make that clear. Unfortunately, we're only getting a handful of trucks. Your donations will be spent in due course. We are obviously observing the situation, but we're only getting this much. No, why can't they? Because you know why? People would naturally then would hold back and say, okay, we'll cover you for this much or that much. Because really and truly, right, I'm not going to say all charities because I can't specify because it's unfair. That's bidun adl. But is there a concept of gift aid that charities have for every donation, right? So the more donations they get, there's a little bit. No, I'm not saying they are thinking like that, but could that be one reason why they're not really pausing or plugging the donation? Please don't donate right now. Do you see what I mean? And
Well,
unfortunately, it is the case, isn't it? The more donations, the more gift aid. Is that a strong way of looking at it?
I'm gonna let the audience use their imagination here. We don't want to make any accusations or anything like that.
I know. I'm just raising the
Yeah.
point. I'm
Yeah,
just
I
raising
know.
the point.
But you're right. You're right, bro. What it is, they're getting a lot of donations in. Like the brother said in regards to this other charity in Egypt he was talking about. A lot of money is getting spent on marketing. A lot of money is getting spent on salaries. A lot of money is getting spent on who knows what. So, like I said before as well, these charities, a lot of them are being run like businesses rather than a service. A charity should be run as a service. Am I right? It's a service for the people who don't have, for the poor and the needy, basically.
Yeah.
And this is the problem within the charity sector right now. It's been running as a business instead of as a service. So again, I'm just gonna give the same advice again. Use the smaller charities, use the local brothers, local individuals that you might know. Just go online, have a look around. Who's got the best footage? Who's doing their due diligence? Who's being transparent about how the process works? And in this day and age, it's pretty easy to find out this information. If you've got a question, they should be able to answer it. If they can't answer it, go move on to the next one.
Ya Akhi Muhammad, Jazakumullah khairan for what you've said. And even more importantly, may Allah bless you for something you said a few minutes ago, where you said the donors now from the Ummah, regarding of all the things that have come to notice and the things that have surfaced, not just now but even years ago and now as well, with the footages not matching the level of donations. I think as well on the Ummah's part now, from what the brothers are saying, and not just yourselves and Brother Hajji, but from before, I think now the Ummah has to do their due diligence too now. So the same way somebody would go, and sadly this is how it is now, somebody would go buy a car, kick the tire, check what's happening, they need to do the same now. Why? Because they're doing it with qulub safiya, with pure hearts. They want to donate. Now, with the same way they want to donate, the objective of that donation is to feed the poor. It isn't for us to feel good, right? Like, for example, in Islam, you have actions which have an objective inside them. Isn't just, the niyyah was there and khalas. The objective is to feed the person. So like you said, Akhi, barakallahu feekum, is beautiful advice. And maybe now the Ummah as well has to take a stance and get a little bit more involved now in doing her part, in investigating and being sure, okay, this is my money I've worked for halal. This is my money I want to feed Sumaya, Maryam, Ahmed, Muhammad over there. Is this avenue that I'm going to donate with now going to transfer it straight away? So I think, Akhi, that was beautiful advice. May Allah reward you, for saying that the Ummah has to now use her farasa, her acumen, her sharpness and astuteness to now give it to the safe hands so that they can reach the people, inshallah.
I think that's the best course of action now. I think, like you said, we've had issues in the past regarding these charities. I think it's come to the point where now do your due diligence yourself. Take responsibility of your own money. Take responsibility of your actions, and let's get the money to the right people, and let's get the aid to the people as well. I think this is very important.
And Hafiz Osama, and I just want to sort of home, because I know you need to go to the latest Afia, is that, and I just want to stress this as well, because one thing I like to raise as a concern, I won't say an issue because I don't know, but it's a concern, that if you're delivering food packs, right, and inside those food packs they cost 4 to 5 sterling, 4 to 5 sterling pounds, and we've been generous, 3 to 4 to 5 million, and you've got a warehouse and a factory full of those packs which cost £5, is it unrealistic for me to think that the money is not spent accordingly? Is it unfair for me to think that? I'm not saying they are doing it, just to add as a disclaimer. Is it unfair for me to think that, doing my math, using my analytical brain, thinking £5, you got a full factory, just say it's 100 or 200, then you've got the truck fees, then you've got to pay the drivers, and we're talking millions of pounds sterling, equating that to Egyptian pounds. Is it unfair for me to think that they're spending all the money as 100% donation?
I think that it's fair for you to have your doubts.
It is fair to have my reservation that if you are claiming, and I'm not saying you are not, I'm saying if you're claiming 100% donation and there's millions of pounds, again, just to add as a disclaimer, we're not saying it's got to be done within a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. But what we're saying is, if that money is in your bank account for the campaigns that you've just recently started, and you've got tens of millions of pounds, being generous, right? Tens of millions of pounds in your bank in the 3 months, if you're willing to come out and say, we have your money, unfortunately, right about now, it's difficult to get the aid in, but I assure you the money is getting in. Would you say that transparency is there amongst any charity? Let's leave the big charities, any charities, or would you say that transparency is not there?
So basically, I don't think that transparency is there. I think it's a mix and match, really. There's transparency with some charities, there's no. With obviously, the charities who have smaller funds, the transparency is most likely is there. The ones with the bigger funds, it's very highly doubtful that the transparency is not there at all, is it?
Okay. So just to clarify again, and I think I asked this, but if you haven't, then it's good to bring this up. How much does it cost to load? Or we know it's £4 to £5 per packet, but to load a truck, £4 to £5 a packet, how much does it cost to actually, from the logistics, from the purchasing of aid and goods, getting into Rafah, then getting into Gaza, then getting it to the people? How much does that cost in total from the start of the process to the end?
So I don't know about the packages we're talking about. I'm not sure what the prices are.
Because Brother Osama covered that from the Masris themselves. So we got these are ulama, by the way. These are ulama. These are not
obviously trusted. I understand.
Yeah, there's trusted.
But I can tell you, like, for example, a truckload of water or a truckload of flour, for example, is costing about between 4 and 6, maybe let's just say 4 and 7,000 pounds, just to give a range, and depending on what prices people are getting things at.
Okay, so no problem. So that's one truck, right? One truck, £7,000, right? So you estimated roughly there's tens of millions of pounds that's been raised, right? Tens of millions of pounds. Gaza are still, at this moment in time, sugar is $8 per kg. Water is scarce. The inflation is sky high, right? So you times that. I'm gonna put how much trucks is generous for £7,000 in a space of 2 months after the truth. How much trucks would you say, roughly, would be generous from a UK charity or charities in general?
From a UK charity, I don't know, about 300.
300. Okay, 300, right? That's £21 million. £21 million, right? That equates to 625,000 Egyptians. Do you reckon they've spent 813 million Egyptians? You see what I'm saying?
I don't want to say yes and I don't want to say no. I know personally the people we're working with, and it doesn't seem as though there's any other charities working there getting any more aid in. We've sent in about 150 trucks.
Yeah, so you've sent in 150 trucks from yourself?
Not from ourselves, but the the people that we're working with, the organizations that we're working with, the individuals we're working with, rather, I should say, have
Okay,
sent
so
in
what's the
with.
process? What's the process? Sorry to cut you. What's the process in getting into the Egyptian Red Crescent? So, brother Osama is going to probably make up one point before he goes. Just explain the process. Do you have to pre-register? What do you have to do?
Okay, I don't know about this process, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, we're working with a couple of individuals that opened the route. We call it opening a route. So they've opened this route. So once they opened this route, it was through the Egyptian Red Crescent.
Perfect. Now,
And
can
then,
I ask both of you one question? And I'm going to leave Hafiz Osama to answer first. Has any charity been transparent enough to explain the process from start to finish? I haven't heard it. I have not heard it.
Again, I feel like me being completely sheer honest with you. Again, I haven't come across the required level of transparency given the circumstance of a genocide that's taken place. Me personally, again, it could be, but I haven't come across charity that provides that level of transparency the Ummah needs regarding the funds that have been raised.
Okay.
so obviously, I don't wanna make it look like, oh, I'm just saying good words because we're working with these people and because it's our charity that's involved. But I feel as though the individuals we're working with, they definitely, I think the transparency is there. This is why I mentioned before as well. We should look for the smaller charities. We should look for the individuals. We should go online, do that a bit of research, and you'll see that there are some organizations, individuals that have got the transparency. To point you towards the right directions, if anyone wants to just have a quick look and have a quick wander around the online, if you go to Hope for Change Facebook page, you'll see what's Hope for Change done, and then you'll see we've also posted the individuals that we work with, so their transparency, how they work in their operations, so you can see what you'll get an idea of what transparency looks like, and then you'll see what the norm is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Hafiz Osama, do you want to add anything in terms of the state of play on the ground in Masr, in like when it comes to goods themselves? Because I heard, and again, Allah Alam, this is true, that they were sending out of date items.
Yes.
I don't know what...
This is something my teacher touched upon as well. And again, subhanAllah, it goes back to the subject matter of what we're discussing. Transparency. Like my teachers were saying, the quality of food, and again, if something, even in UK, right? If something is about to go out of date tomorrow, what happens? Price is reduced, isn't it? Yeah, price is reduced, is bought, and the person consumes it, whatever. So again, my teacher was saying that goods were bought, and when because the borders are closed, yeah, and the quality of these goods weren't to a decent standard, they rot away, these goods. So it kind of now renders that useless, because how are you now going to give, food that you can't consume anymore to people? So it goes back to, again, Brother Hajji's point about being very transparent. If this is the case, tell the Muslims who have given donations that we are going to buy this quality, this level of food, and this is what's happening, the borders have closed, etc. Because if that's not given, then these, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَوْمَ يَقُومُ النَّاسُ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. There will come a day where mankind is going to stand in front of the Lord of the world. So this is why it's very, very important it happens. And also, it's sometimes maybe forgotten. Again, we're speaking about transparency, we're speaking about fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But let's be honest, ikhwan, who's really at loss here? The people who are really at loss are those people who are putting Islam on the map in Gaza. Those are the ones who are lost. The people who sacrificed their lives, the people who have documented what's happening, the people who have caused non-Muslims in thousands to research into Islam, they're the ones that are lost. So for this reason, again, it goes back to the point, mashallah, Muhammad and Brother Hajji have been mentioning, transparency is needed, because they're the ones who are going to suffer, not me and you. Alhamdulillah, Allah has given us security, home, clothes, heating. They're the ones who are lost. So we're not cheating anyone but them, sadly. And if anyone is going to be deserved to cheated, wallahi, they are the last people on earth who deserve to be cheated after what they provided for Islam and the Muslims. And that's my closing statement.
Allah barik fiik, Hafiz Osama, for your input and your time. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve you. And as I said at the start, and we've all mentioned that point regarding the disclaimer, we are just asking for clear direction and transparency, because at the end of the day, the numbers don't match. The numbers do not match as per what Hafiz Osama presented from the Mashayikh from Egypt of how much it costs, the aid, the truck, the conversion rate, how much has been spent. Even if you haven't spent all of it, all those campaigns, at least be transparent enough to say, look, we can't, deliver most of the money that you've raised because we were unable to obviously purchase items. And as you said, Hafiz Osama, if they buy in bulk, what happens? They get it cheaper. And once again, whoever's donating, just be mindful that you have to, be more considerate of your expenditure. Don't just think I've given it, khalas, that's it. You'll get rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Man dalla ala al-khayr, falahu ajru mithla. Whoever directs someone to good, he'll get the reward similar to it. Or kama qala alayhi salatu wasalam. So we have too much unanswered questions, and we are not singling out any charity. We're speaking about the sector as a whole, right, Akhi Muhammad?
That's right, correct.
And going forward, any charity that wants to request a campaign or wants donations, just tell us exactly how it happens. Explain the process, because at the end of the day, you're going to donate that aid. We are the ones, you're the ones going to deliver that aid. We're the one that's donated. Why is it that there's so much lack of transparency and direction as to how this is going to happen? So what are we doing? What are we going to do? Like brother Hafiz Osama and brother Muhammad, who are here today, and many. And just to clarify, this is on the tip of everyone's tongue, as I mentioned at the start. Everyone's wondering, hold on here, how is it getting through? And if it is getting through, you're not getting it as if you do the ratio of your money that you've got or the money that you've raised in comparison to what's been delivered. It's a no-brainer. With uqsum billahi al-aliyyil azim, it's a no-brainer. So, or will you give us transparency? That's the question, right?
Can I just say one last closing statement? Just to all the donors, instead of giving to the one with the biggest marketing campaign, give it to the one with the biggest transparency. It's that simple. Just take that little bit of extra time to give your donation. Just do a bit of research, and inshallah, your donations will reach where it needs to go.
Yeah.
Definitely, there's we've 100%. We do have charities that are working properly. So we just need to find these right charities, inshallah.
And ask questions. That's the key point. Before you pick up your wallet and take your card out and you donate, just get a quick call and just ask these questions. Could you just give me a bit of clarity as to how this money will get in? I don't want to hear we've got business partners there. The business partners are waiting on you to get the stuff in. Do you understand? It's not just having, look, we don't deny that you've got business partners there. Everyone has, every charity has. Sticker Highways on, alhamdulillah, you've got your business partners, great. But what does that prove? What does that prove? That don't prove anything. Does that mean you're getting the aid in? And if you have business partners, how are they waiting on the aid? They're waiting on you to deliver it from Egypt into Gaza. And we know the inflation rate in Gaza is stupid, as I just presented. I think, and there was a brother who got some information. He said that diapers are, the costs have been raised. All of these items are the actual prices are going up and up and up. But hold on, if we've donated 2 million, 3 million, 10 million, that shouldn't be the case, should it? That shouldn't be the case. If we're donating, we're sending bucket loads of aid, flour, sanitaries, flour. Why is it that the sugar is 8 shekels or 8 euros? Why? That shouldn't happen, should it? Let's be honest. Should that be happening? Should inflation be going up? We're sending millions of pounds, not Egyptian pounds, sterling. But yet they're paying $8 for 1 kg. So have you not thought about sending sugar, do you know what I mean? Like, where do we start and where do we stop? Allahu a'lam. Shia Sunni, you want to make a comment? You come on. You want to make a comment? Oh. Okay, Hafiz Osama, do you want to make a closing statement? Because I don't think anyone's going to come on. I sent the link if anyone wanted to add any input, but
لا أخي, other than, جزاكم الله khairan, I just want to reiterate the disclaimer here. If people do get offended, this was just for the sake of transparency. Like what Brother Hajji said, and Akhi Muhammad, may Allah reward you. It's just to ensure that there's unity and transparency amongst the Ummah. And if there's a time we're going to need unity amongst the Ummah now, for those who are in charge of certain sectors and delivering the aid, now's the time to be united as a Ummah more than ever before. So in order for that to happen, there has to be transparency. And it's a basic qaida in Islam. It's a basic rule in Islam that when you have a dealing with another person, be that in marriage, nikah has a contract. Be that with a buyer and seller, you have a contract. Be that with someone who you entrusted in amana, it's a contract, it's a dealing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Awfu bil uqud." In Surah Ma'idah, the first ayah, oh, you believe, fulfill the contracts that you have, the pledges that you have. So this, other than, insan, these are divine instructions from Allah Azza wa Jalla Himself. So this is something I wanted to keep in mind, that, Allah Azza wa Jalla has instructed us to do this. And secondly, this whole thing about, donating, like you said, Akhi Muhammad, to be wary, do your, due diligence for where the money is going to go. And lastly, if there's anyone that's going to, subhanallah, take the loss, sadly, it's only our brothers and sisters and Ummah in Palestine and nobody else. So, Jazakumullah kulla khair.
Very big. And Muhammad, as I said, I put the link up. I don't think anyone wants to join, so I'll let you have the last statement. And Allah barik feek for coming on such short notice. But look, we have to speak the truth. وَقُولُوا بِالْحَقِّ حَيْثُمَا كُنْتُمْ. That speak the truth wherever you are. Now, I'm a realist. I'm a realist. That I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers. But remember, the haqq, as Abdullah bin Mas'ud said, ما وافق الحق إن كنت وحدك. That the jama'a, وما الجماعة, ما وافق الحق إن كنت وحدك. That the jama'a, the majority is what conforms to the truth, even if you're alone. Don't worry about the numbers. Like I'm appreciative of the brothers coming on and giving their time. And it's not about, yes, the more the merrier. Don't get me wrong. The more that people watch, the message goes out, and the more people that can ask these hard questions to these charities before they donate. That's the goal. But don't ever think that your voices and our voices are going to be drowned by these big charities and these big, social media influencers. Because haqq, like the saying goes, that the rijal is not known by truth, but truth is known by men. You understand? Or the other way around. Hold on. Is it truth? Yeah. Is that what it is?
I think so.
Was the other way around, was it? Truth. I've got the phrase wrong. But anyway, you got the message.
It's getting late, innit?
Yeah, I was lost the phrase. So walillah alhamd, we've done a service for the ummah. Not that because I am affected, like I'm independent. I work 5 days a week. I'm not competing with any charity because one charity is outdoing me, and I'm feeling that I'm going to have to make a raise a complaint and put their operations into disrepute. No, the harsh reality is, if, and I say if with quotation marks, that the money that you raise, if you claim it's 100% donation, make sure that the donation is 100% in terms of what? Giving the money that we give, the items you purchase, because the donation is in accordance to, like the Sheikh mentioned, beloved Sheikh Osama, that you need to fulfill the contract. Don't play, witty with us. Don't try to, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. And that's the reality is. Just remember that whenever you engage in dealing with people's amana, you have to put it in front of your eyes that Rabbul Alameen Fawqa al-Arshi is watching, and he would hold you to account, and you will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Just wanted to say one thing before we finish off. A lot of people, they might have been disheartened by, you know, I'm not saying this video, just in the past few years or whatever, they might have been disheartened about the charity industry. I know few people that were like that, that do feel that feel in the same way. But don't be, just, you know, take your time, do a bit of research, like we mentioned, and you will find the right people and the right organizations to give you amana to, inshallah.
Just remember that your heart is clean, your heart is pure, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will facilitate your hajat. Like, you know, if you want to give to the cause of the ummah, like per the hadith, ma naqasat sadaqatu min malin, that sadaqah does not decrease wealth. You see? So give, you will be rewarded. That's without fail. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, innamal a'malu bin niyyat. You're going to get rewarded with your intention. But at the same time, whilst it's important, your intentions and everything else, you want your donation to make a difference, right? Like Sheikh Osama said, you know, Muhammad and Ahmed and Hussam and Bassam and Sumayya, they're relying on us. So it's not just good enough as far as we are concerned. As we are donors, we have a right to query and question and follow up as to, hold on, what's going on? Can you give me a bit more clarity as to what's happening with my donation? How are you getting in? And the charity shouldn't feel like, you know, they put their back against the wall and go, well, what are you asking me for? Like, they should be transparent enough to give you that information. And I'm sure, like Sheikh Akhi Muhammad said regarding the smaller charities, and I'm sure the bigger charities have certain transparencies in place. But I don't think I'm hearing it, with all due respect. I don't think I'm hearing it loud enough, unless their voices are getting drowned with all the marketing that they're currently in the process of doing. So, Hafiz Samad, just again, Allah yatik al-afiyah. Akhi Muhammad, again, thanks for coming on.
Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Make dua for us and the ummah. Don't forget Palestinian dua, and donate, but just be cautious, wise, and you know, be witty in who you give your money to, because it's your hard-earned money at the end of the day. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa sallallahu ala nabi.
Assalamu alaikum.